Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday morning, about a week away from Christmas, and here we go. It's Walk the Web, and I'm Dr. Aaron. I'm going to be showing you today some things about creating some terrain. I'm by no means an expert, but I don't know, I picked up a few things and going to give it a try. So, watched a few videos and played around with a few tries, and I'm just ready to give it a good college try, right? So I'm going to jump in, and what I'm going to create today is I want to create an island. So I'm going to be paying attention to water levels. I'm going to be paying attention to where I have the extended ground below the water level, and I'm going to see if I can make an island that we can use in Walk the Web. So today's about the land structure, and in the upcoming days I'll be working on some texturing on the island and see if we can't make it look realistic. So, like I said, today we're jumping in on Blender, and this is Blender 2.8. So, first thing is I'm going to get rid of the box in the center of the screen here. No reason for that. And, you know something? Okay. Click Add, Mesh, Plane. And if I click Tab, I can go into it, Scale. And I'm going to make it, I don't know, about 8. Okay. And okay, so working from there, click Tab, get back out of that section. And the first thing I'm going to do is I want to create some noise on here so that it's not a flat plane. So I'm going to go in and do a couple things to make that happen first. We're going to add a modifier, and I'm going to do a displace. Now it's going to be a texture. I'm going to set this to 0 so that ground level 0. Strength, I'll leave it at 1. That's really not a big problem at this point. One more thing I forgot to do. Go back in here on Tab, and if I just right click, I can say subdivide, and I need to create, oops, sorry, I forgot to highlight everything. So right click, subdivide, subdivide, and I need a bunch of points, otherwise there's nothing to move on a plane. If you just move 4 corners, you're not going to get very far. So that's looking pretty good. I'm looking at, let's see, 16,000 vertices. The edges are 33,000. Depends how big I stretch this island to. If I'm making a pretty good size island, that could still be a little shallow. If I go more though, that's going to be a lot. Now we're talking 66,000 and 131,000 edges. I think that's too much for a game. So I'm going to stick, I did a Control Z and backed up on that. Okay, so now I have a bunch of textures in there, and when I do this and I set that up, the next part is if I go to here, and is it, yeah, displace texture, image or movie, I'm going to say clouds, and notice how it gives me some type of thing here. I'm going to stretch that out by about, see how it goes real flat, or it can become very, very distorted. So it depends, what you're looking for, but I want it to be a little bit of a distortion here. I'm going to be messing with this, so this is not the final product. This is just a way to kind of get some noise into the piece that I'm working with. As I'm working with it, I'm going to change all that anyway. I just want to have a starting point that basically creates some type of rigidity. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. By setting this stuff, the depth, I'm getting all kinds of kind of a ground looking rock kind of structure. All I wanted was this as a starting point, and what I'm going to do with it next is actually going to do the most of it. Now notice if I take it right now, and there's one more thing I have to do on the modifier, or where is it? Is it here? Color. Here's another thing you can do. If you click this and go down here, you can set some type of ground level, distortion, like there's puddles. I'm not going to do that just yet. The other part is You can set the peaks to be higher or lower or whatever, so you get some type of little bit to that. I'm going to give it a little bit of this, but not a lot at this point. That's a little bit. Okay, so one other thing, where is it? I'm hunting and looking for this, but there's a setting here somewhere. Okay, I think it's not when I'm in this section, so I think it's when I'm editing and sculpting, so I'll get to that in a few minutes. Okay, so I've given it a little bit of character, a little bit of flat edges, a little bit of rigid pieces and everything like this. But notice if I go back to edit mode, it's a flat plane. The only way to get that to apply is if I click apply. Now when I edit it, it is the terrain that I started doing. So that's a little trick. Clicking tab to go back and forth between edit mode and straight mode. Okay, so now here's the thing. This gives me a little bit of terrain, gives me a little bit of an idea, and the next thing I need is I need to go into sculpting, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an island, and I wanted to start with some type of bumpy texture. I didn't want a flat plane because everything looks too round, too perfect when you try to sculpt something that doesn't have quite that shape to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of these sections. We can move it around and kind of look at it. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to put some type of hill in the back, some type of plateau through here, a little bit of curves and stuff, and give it some characteristic to the island. Anytime if I right click it, I can change the radius of this circle. And the first thing is this normal tool for drawing. If I hold down the left mouse button, I can actually raise areas. Oh, that's where I was going to change it. Okay, so symmetry, I want to turn off X symmetry. I don't need any type of symmetry happening here. Okay, so now when I move it, it's only moving where my cursor is. And the first thing I'm going to do is there's going to be a section back here someplace where I'm going to give it a little bit of a... I'm basically just taking the mouse and doing a little bit of left mouse button click, and anywhere I see where I want it to rise, I just pull it up by doing that. I'm starting with this size of a brush. Don't worry, I'm going to be moving all over around with the size of the circle that I'm working with, the affected area. But notice when I'm tapping on this stuff, I'm trying not to distort or ruin too much of my texture that I already had in here. And I'm kind of playing off of some of the structures and rock formations that are already here instead of trying to create my own thing. So I can come up here through this and kind of bring that up a little bit over here. There'll be some puddles up high. There'll be some, we'll drop through. I was thinking even making it like cut through with a little bit of a river formation. So we'll play around with some of that stuff as we go. There's another part of this that I was going to do, and that works this way. First of all, see how it's kind of like creating a terrain. It's starting to lift a couple places, and I can rotate it around. All I have to do is click up in this round region in the top right. If I click in there, I've got free form to be able to move it around. And then if I move the hand, I can move it around this way, so I can kind of get myself oriented wherever I need to be. This kind of, by the looks of it, I would say we've got a little bit of a rock formation growing up here. If I just click and stuff and kind of move it around, I end up with less ruining my existing rocks and just kind of giving them a little bit of a lift. Otherwise I'm probably going to ruin the bump texture, which, believe me, we can go into smaller details and start building that back up at some point too. But I want to kind of give it a little bit of a feel of an island. And over here, okay, so anytime I can right click and I can change the radius that I'm working with. And I kind of bump it around to different sizes only because I really want to affect different areas. And if you leave it the same size, everything starts looking like one rounded piece. Where if I kind of click this around and change the shape and size of it, I can kind of get it to stay a little lumpy with my surface. I don't want it to be too, I don't want to flatten it out. That's the bottom line. I just don't want to flatten out a couple of these areas. I want to have some type of contours and textures. and I can also shrink it down really small. Zoom in with the scroll button on my mouse. I need a little bit larger than that since I zoomed in so close. And see, now I can grab some specific boxes and kind of keep the distortion going so that everything's not flat and perfect. Okay, we'll do some more of that. There's a couple tools for randomizing a little bit of stuff, so we'll play around with that later on. But I'm still working on kind of creating the root of the island, some type of structure here. Starting to take a little bit of shape. The other part is not just grabbing things and making them taller, for example this stuff here. The other part is I can also hold down control and back them off a little bit. So far I'm just kind of creating a little bit of an area here. And it's starting to take a little shape. The other thing is there's going to be a section up here where I'm going to want some buildings and stuff to be. So I can come up here and and using the flattening tool, make a little bit of a less grade on some of this stuff. Bring it a little bit flatter. This will be my plateau where I do most of my building. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want something I can work with and create a couple buildings around here or whatever. So just starting to kind of pinpoint where that's going to be. And as you can see, it kind of smoothed out a little bit of area in there. It doesn't mean the foundation has to be perfectly flat, just something I can build off of. I also probably will create some type of road or some type of path through the center of what I'm going to make as my town. So if I go in here, change the radius real small, okay, and now come in here and just kind of flatten. Trying not to remove every single rock in the town and stuff like that, so that I have a little bit of structure around it. I'll give it a little bit more in this area. And I think we'll make this somewhere in here. We're going to make like a beach area maybe, so it has kind of a smoother area going down towards water. When we're done, there'll be a beach area with sand. Haven't decided what area is best for that yet. Now the other thing is, as I'm doing this, I'm going to use control, and I kind of want to create with a really small radius here. I kind of want to create an area. Oops, let's put that tool back on. And I'm going to create an area that has a little bit of a water path going through town so that it's not all perfect and we can have a bridge. That would be kind of cool to have. And if I zoom in on it a little bit, we can do even better. And it's going to be a little structure through here. It's going to separate the hills a little bit. I'll zoom around different angles and see if we can't make it complete. I don't want to look like it's all one flat area either. I want to kind of take a couple of these out of here and make it go around some corners and whatever else I can make it do. And the other thing that I can do that'll help this try to figure out where exactly everything's going to be is if I take this and go back to layout. Okay, I'm going to save this because I kind of like the direction we're heading. So I'm just going to call this island for now. May change the name later on, but that'll be my name that I'm saving under. One of the things I can do is I can add a mesh and add a plane and hit tab to mess with it here, scale it out, and I want it to be bigger than what I'm working on right now. It doesn't matter how big. This is just a guide point, And if I take the tab and I go GZ, I notice how as I go upward, it starts to fill in. This is going to be my water level. So I can actually have terraforming that goes underneath the water level, because in my scenes, I can have water level. So if I plan this that here's my water level, then basically I can draw these things of what'll be above the water, what'll be below the water, and I can really start taking shape of how I want this whole island to look. So I'm going to set the water level. It doesn't really matter what height it is. It's just knowing that I have one set. And the other part is to make this really work, I'm going to add a texture to it, and this will be, it's really not going to be much of anything. It's just going to be, oh, there's another part. If I click Z, I can tell it to show me rendered, and I'm going to change this color to blue, just so we have an idea of where the water level is. Now, there's a second thing that I'm going to do. That one is, that's water. I'm going to create a second plane, and the reason I do this is whenever I create a terrain, I have an extended ground in my scene, and I like the island terrain to go down below that extended ground in my scene. So the only way to do that is if I say add mesh, and we add a plane again, and on this one, tab scale, and when I scale this one out, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger just so I can see between the two planes. And this will be our lower ground. We'll just call it extended ground is what it is. So an extended ground does show underneath the water. So when you're working with one of our scenes in WalkTheWeb, that is kind of a way of determining which piece it is. I'm going to make this kind of a brown for now. It's just to have some type of look to it. And this will be extended ground. Now, the cool part about this is now that I have these two things, I may need to lower that last one, but what I'm really watching for are two things. What's going to be above the water level so that I can create my beaches, and if I want to add later on, let's say a dock or something like that, I need a way to walk down near the water and be able to get to a dock or something, and I'll have some trails go to that later on, is kind of the concept of where I'm going with that. The other part is if I put a beach in here, which I'm thinking of, I don't know. I'm thinking of somewhere. I don't know. I haven't decided where the beach is going to be yet. I could take this side down and make this a nice beach where it goes up into the city and there's a... Yeah, I don't know yet. We'll kind of see how it goes as we keep on terraforming and see what looks well. But the other part is if I turn off... I can turn off and on each one of these different planes at different times. Notice how the edge of the plane right now all the way around is coming and going above this plane. Well, because that's the extended ground, every one of these edges that I'm working with in this piece need to go below that extended ground. Otherwise, if you walk down and look underwater, you're actually going to see underneath the plane or even walk underneath it and end up underneath the island. So the only way to really keep that in place is by having some type of ground that when I'm working on it, it basically is telling me that needs to be where everything goes below it so that we don't lose track of, we don't have any ridges sitting higher than it. So when I'm building this, what I can do is I'm going to switch back to our original plane, and then let's go back to sculpting. And in this section, if you notice, what I'll do is you can kind of see it on the angles and stuff like that, but what I like to do is turn off the extended ground because I don't want to sculpt our extended ground with our pieces. I only want to sculpt the edges. And now if I move in closer, come in here like this, the first thing I'm going to do is, and I'm going to kind of bring it on an angle so I'm looking from above because I don't want to grab things back too far into my scene. I'll change the radius a little bit bigger. And now, using this tool and control, I can actually lower the edges of the texture. So now that they're getting lower, what'll happen is this. I'll start by setting them lower, then I can flatten them a little bit if necessary, but a lot of the time you don't even have to do that. As long as it's below what I plan on having the extended ground, it'll work just fine. And I'll be messing around with this a little bit, so it's going to come and go a couple times. Just want to give it some type of starting point, lower some of these pieces that are extremely high that definitely aren't going to stay the way they are. As just the edges. I can always go a little bit farther into some of these areas as I go. But the first thing is to lower them like this. And even from a different angle here, you can see I'm stretching them lower. And I can move that this way. The whole goal is just to make sure. Where did I just flip that? Let me back up so I can see where I'm at. Where did I start? Guess I started in this corner. The other part is I can shrink the radius down. Oops. Gotta hold down control, otherwise it's kind of worthless doing that. Another thing I can do is I can also start by kind of taking some of these pieces. The more upward I look at it from, the more it's going to go straight back into the scene instead of on angles. So I can stay above it and kind of just do a little bit of this. And I'm not too worried about the shape of the island at this point because I'm going to be playing around closer and closer to the island and shaping it as I go. Right now I'm more interested in making sure the edges are lower than my extended ground. And we can always grab points and move them lower too. It's not just a matter of these edges. We can grab specific points, grab them and move them on an edit level. So this is just a way to get started and get close to what I want first, and then we'll go from there. So and make these go out. See, if I get too high up, then it starts pushing it underneath it instead of, hey, I don't want to do that. Bring it back out here a little ways, and if I get more directly above it, yeah, see it's going underneath. That's fine. I can move some of this lower too. Doesn't matter. We'll be able to play around with some of these settings. I can also grab the points and pull them outward XYZ coordinates and do some of that too as necessary. But this will give us a little bit of an edge to our island. Like, see in this area here, all I have to do is switch back to modeling and okay, so we have this section, this is the one that's really bad. So if I take this, I can, I'm gonna, well, let's do it from this angle. Okay, so Alt-A to get rid of all that. I'm really sorry I didn't turn on the selection tools for you seeing which keys I'm pressing. Yeah, I didn't load that up just yet. I can do a selection tool that lets me grab these points in here. And then if I set the, well, the cursor's already over there, so if I scale, I can bring these, well, see that's going up or down. Let me do G, Shift, Z. I don't want to make them higher. I just want to make some of these points move out this way. Now do Controls or Z, hold down Shift, and kind of get rid of some of those points. Ones are already looking good. And G, Shift, Z means don't go vertical on us, but do everything else. And I'm kind of recovering some of my points. And some of these that look pretty good, we won't bother moving anymore. Yeah, those are pretty good. And I can also zoom in and get it to any particular points that, you know, like we've got a couple points in there that are look like they're still kind of wrapping over the top of other ones. What I can do is I can get one point here and hold on, Alt, click another point and grab this full edge. G, and that would be, which direction is that? X, I believe. Yep. And see, I can even pull it out more this direction. Now I know exactly where those points are. And now I can go back to sculpting. See, now I have a little bit of a lip on this edge, and I can tell it Control and see, I'm kind of still getting that's going directly underneath as I do that. So Control Z, let's put that back. There we go, bringing that back out, kind of fixing some of our ground there. Okay, so we just need radius a little smaller and lower some of these. The other part is if I go to the flattening tool here, then I can start flattening these edges and make them kind of play a little nicer together, because if it's flat, then it's definitely easier to work with for what's standing out and what isn't. And I can also come in here, zoom in a little bit. Okay, you can see it kind of moving a little bit as I do this flattening tool. Sometimes if you don't get the things near it, it doesn't flatten that much on the edges. So, but this kind of normalizes to get it flatter and more common size edges. So, all I'm doing is kind of tweaking the way it looks right now, getting some of these edges in place. So there we go. And as you stream it across here, it kind of flattens it out. I'm not worried about it being flat. If I wanted it to be flat, I could highlight the points, click G, go to 0, and boom, everything's at 0. So I mean, there are ways of telling it to make a flat edge on this, but what I'm more interested in is keeping contours of what's next to it and just kind of giving it the feel of where I'm at. And like this piece here, it's a little high, so by flattening it out, it's bringing that edge down. And this here, let's say, get these pieces all playing nice. Sometimes it's the angle you're looking at it too that brings it either one way or the other. So I can, it's all affected by what's around it, the normals coming out of any one plane in that area. Let's see how it's kind of flattening it out now. It's getting there. And sometimes when you flatten one area, it pops another area up. So a little bit of trick to the trade there. Okay. Like I said, I'm no expert at this stuff. I watch a couple videos, try a few things, and then go, okay, let's give it a shot, see what we can do. So right now, like I said, my biggest thing is to give us something we can work with, give it some type of terrain here, cleaning up the edges so that they have some bit of a format going underneath to the extended ground. We want to make sure that it's going to be under that extended ground as we get going. And go. Just by flattening it, it gets closer to being able to tell what's high, what's low. It doesn't need all the, like here, this real high point. Doesn't need that. And we can also continue to bump some of this down with some of the other angles. Okay. The other part is, like I said, I can also use the tool to lower the edges so that they're lower on the screen. Flattening kind of gets them closer to each other, and then lowering them has a little bit more effect. So, okay, and just backing up a little bit so we can see the corner here and what we're doing. Okay, I'll bring this whole corner down. There's no reason to leave it up. And we're almost there. I know this section's playing around a little bit. Might look like an underwater cave by the time we're done. Which I'm not against, so whatever it turns out to want to be, we'll make it. That's one reason why I started with the distortion, is because if you randomly try to create everything yourself, what ends up happening is it looks very generated yourself. By doing it this way, we get enough of some naturals. We get some contours that we didn't expect. We kind of add and remove them. We can spin it and do whatever we want with it. But as you can see, what I'm starting to get is now you're starting to tell where the edge of the terrain is. I'm not looking for it to be perfectly flat. There isn't any reason for that. All I need is for it to sit underneath my extended ground. As I get it underneath my extended ground, then it won't matter. I just don't want it to show, or being able that if you walked underneath the water or something, or swam under the water at some point with our app, that all of a sudden you end up underneath the terrain, and that of course causes some weird issues. Okay, so let me see what we have here. Okay, so we're getting a little bit closer with the edges. I can double check them just by turning off and on our extended ground here and see we're getting there. There's a couple places that may be showing through, like over here. So what I can do now is turn off the extended ground. I'm using it as a guideline. If you leave it in there, then you're probably going to be molding on it too. So I'm purposely turning it off and on as I go. And then I'm going to take this, hold down Control, and I'm going to lower some sections here to make sure that we don't end up above the ground. So especially these edges that I just flattened, I want to make sure that they're definitely lower. It doesn't matter if I get much, a lot lower than the edges. I just need to make sure they're not showing into my scene. So the more I do that, and also this section over here, we're going to make sure that gets brought down. Okay, rotate it. Whoa, I didn't mean to grab the whole thing like that. I always forget what side I was working on when I do that. Okay. Well, whenever in doubt, turn back on this. See what it looks like around there. Okay, so this edge is all under the ground pretty good. That edge is sticking up, so we'll hold down Control and bring that one down. I don't even care how far I bring it down as long as it's underneath that rigid edge. Okay, let's give that a shot. I got one little point there showing through. Rotate it here, get me closer to it. And there we go. We'll worry more about the thing. Right now the whole island looks kind of like a box, but I'm not worried about that just yet. We'll do some more forming on that area. Okay, I'm okay with the ridge showing here. That looks pretty good. And this isn't exact where it's going to be. It's just giving me an area where, hey, if anything below this will still be not showing anything on the edges. So that's kind of what I'm doing. This side here, let's see what it looks like over here. Okay, we got a couple places like in this area. Doesn't look all that great yet, so let's go cut it in a little bit here. And it doesn't have to be perfect of the edges of what I'm working. I mean, not just the edges here, but also the rock formations, because I plan on tweaking them anyway. So move it around this way, and it looks like this is all high, so let's bring that down. And that goes lower. And I can smooth these out again if I choose to, if it helps bring down the corners. Come on, corner, get down. Get down. For some reason the corner's hard to grab. There we go. I can always tweak that with points. Grab the corner point and move it down. So I'm not too worried about that. Same thing over here. Not too worried about that. Okay, let's see how it sits with this. Okay, so I'm really starting to take some shape with making sure I'm getting a couple edges right in here, here and here. So let's fix those. Get that lower and this part lower, right in there. And if I get it from a different angle, you can see how this edge is sitting up higher than everything else. Okay, and bring that back out here. Okay, try it again. And sometimes while it's out there, if I turn it, I can see where it's happening. Okay, looks pretty good on that point. So and notice the edges, we're getting close underneath on that point. I want to make sure I have enough of a gap that I can move it around without, I have an area, not just a point that is the lowest point. Okay, so I have some low points or pieces right here that I need to fix. This part might be easier to fix by actually grabbing the pieces. So what I'm going to do is see how there's like peaks. When I was moving it, it was moving the points in, but it wasn't grabbing the end points. So if I come over here, and you can kind of see where those points are now, move it back to modeling, and why did they move? That's interesting. Huh. That's interesting. Okay, file, save, make sure it's saving my changes. Now, oops, select a point, Alt, select another point. Well, that's not what I was looking for. There we go. Got all the edge points, and GZ, I'm moving them downward. There we go. If there's specific points that aren't looking good, I can always tweak them. For example, this corner right here, I can select some points in this area and just GZ, oops, GZ, and drag them down. Let's check a couple more. That area right there looks a little high. Well, there's a point that is a real and if I turn that a little bit different, okay, C for, oops, C, and then I can change the shape and size of it, but I'm going to grab these points down in here, and GZ, I want to drag them lower. I'm not worried about that little peak area there. I just want to make sure it's not above my ground. Okay, that will help with some of that. Let's go back to the sculpting, and see, it has some areas here. didn't play nice with a couple of these points. I want to make sure that they're going down. Okay. For some reason, while I'm sitting there sculpting, I'm going, my mouth keeps going open. Is that concentration or what? Noticed I was doing it. It's like, okay. Let's see. If I can sculpt without leaving my mouth open. No. Okay. See, those pieces there, I have no idea why they're being so particular, but I will flatten them out. That should help flatten these areas. Now it should catch the peaks. There it goes. Put it back down to earth. There it goes. Same thing for that one. There we go. And this one. I'll have to move around a little bit, catch those. Here. And flatten out that a bit. See, flattening tool does help normalize whatever's in an area. So see how some of these are sticking out? The flattening tool brings them down like everything else near it. So it kind of helps. In fact, it helps a lot. Look at how that just cleaned that up a lot. So some of these tools definitely are doing what we want here. Bringing them all down to some type of normal levels. And okay, and just to check, see, that's all under our ground level anyway, and we're very far under our ground level. So we have quite a bit of area that we can choose to make the ground level in case we need to make the water deeper or whatever. Gives us quite a bit of area to work with. That's always nice. And I'm just trying to, I use the flattening tool to kind of normalize some of the points around the edges. Makes it easier when I do stretch something taller or shorter. It kind of catches the edges a little better. So clean up a little bit of this. And okay, same thing on this one. I'm going to go around the edges real quick and just kind of clean up any place that I think might be out of shape here. And some of this stuff I'm going to tweak, or it's going to be far enough under the water that it's not going to matter. So like here, just cleaning up some of those edges. Same thing here. And with the hand tool, move it over. We're getting there. We're getting there. How's it looking, people? How's it looking? This is still working on the edges that are going to be underwater, underground, under the extended ground, you know, so I'm just trying to tweak that first. Once we have that close enough, then it'll be easier to work with the other parts here. And see, like this stuff. This section right here, I need to kind of clean up. Okay, and over here, let me rotate it around. And we'll flatten out this corner a little bit. And then I'm going to double check and make sure it's underground again, just to do it. And then I think we have a pretty good, edge thing here, not to be above ground. So we can continue on from there. Okay. Okay, so double checking, and looks pretty good to me. We're definitely under the ground on those edges. That looks pretty good. Giving myself enough leadway. Oh, this one's a little close in this area. Okay. Let me lower this section right here. A little bit more. And it doesn't take much. We're going to kind of help this area here. Lower that a bit. Okay, so that kind of gives us, okay, gonna lower this edge right here a little bit more. There we go. That should help. There we go, and a little bit more right there. Okay, what's it doing right there? And that's another reason why I use the flattening tool, because this will take that one peak right there and just kind of tweak it down to play nice with the other ones. If I get it from an angle here, I should be able to get that piece. Yeah. And like I said, some of this stuff is going to be underneath it anyway, so it's not too critical, but I don't like the way that section right here just totally tweaked out on me. So let's get this in a good angle and zoom. Oops, where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. And zoom in a little bit. Come on. Do something. If I change the radius and I change the strength, let's see if we can get it. There we go. There we go. That's what I needed. A little bit more strength for that piece. Now I can, I'll kind of clean this up a little bit here. Since it's flattening, it should be a little bit better. Okay. And let's see what that looks like. Still got a couple pieces here. There we go. Now it's starting to take some shape. I think there was a couple pieces here almost turned upside down. So the more I get that straight, the better that's looking over here. We've got a couple points that are like completely out of whack. Okay. There we go. And there's something weird right in this area, but let's see what happens when I tell it to tweak that. It's funny, if I go this way, it does one thing. If I go back this other direction, it does another direction. So, okay. Let's see how that does. If it's good enough, then I'm good enough. Yes, that'll all be underneath the ground level now, which is what I was aiming for. Okay, tweak that from this angle. Looks like it helped. Okay, so backing that off one more time, back up a little bit, and turn our extended ground plane on. See, this might even be lower, so I'm kind of just making sure that we have some type of area underneath here. That looks like the closest point. Overall, we got a couple points that are about that close. This section right here looks even closer. So let me come into here, and we'll be tweaking this a little bit more later on, but right now all I want to do is take this, take that tool, and shrink this area down just a little bit over here. And once again, I'm grabbing it without the edge. I need to make sure I'm getting the very edge when I do this. I don't want just the pieces next to the edge to shrink. I want the actual edge to shrink. So, okay, do it like that. And, oh, not too bad. Flattening tool. And that kind of normalizes it a little bit. Doesn't need to be too much. And there we go. Okay. Looking good. Looking good on that edge now. It is below our surface. And we have something to work with, okay? So that part was mainly about the lowest end of the ground. So that's that gives us some of the areas where we're going to make sure we can, yeah, we should be in good shape with all that. And that section could be a little bit lower, but I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so that's that level. Now the next one is this level, which is going to be our water level. So on this, now we can start looking at it and going, okay, what do we actually want the island to look like above the water? I'm going to go refill my coffee cup, actually reheat it a little bit, and I'm take about a 5-minute break, and then I'll be back and we're going to continue on this exact process. So I'm going to start working on more of the shape of the island and what I actually wanted to show above the water level, and you know, we're going to tweak it a little bit, make some more hills, make some flat areas. We're going to make a little river go through it so we can have some type of bridge in the end. I don't know. I want to make it, I'm just going to tweak the island, see what we can do with it. So we're going to save this so far, and if I switch back to my layout, notice that's where we're getting, and also that'll be our extended ground below it. Gives us a little bit of area in between the two. I might still lower the extended ground and check it in another point, but you get the idea of where the water level is going to be, and then we'll play around with that and see what we want above and below the water. So I'll be back in just 5 minutes here. Take a quick break. Okay, I'm back, and here we go. We're going to play around some more with this island and see if we can make it look like what we want it to. I'm going to use the water as a reference to keep on showing me where it's at and what I'm doing. Notice how that's going to be about where the water level is. I want some type of river through it, so I need to bring that down past my water level. I'm going to have a little village near the water level, so I don't want to be too high. A little bit of ground above it is always good, but I definitely want to tweak this so that I can tell where the water level is going to be and make a section under here that is near the water. I don't want it to be too high in this section. I can always make it higher in this area, but I want to make this section all lower to the water. So see what I can do. And notice how I started cutting a kind of a river through here. Yeah, we'll see about that. I may make it through here. Yeah, we'll play around with that. I want to see what I want to do. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is go back to sculpting, and also so that I don't mess up my water level, I'm going to move that out of the way. And notice, okay, here's the direction. Okay, so I started cutting a river out through there, and I don't really like the way that's coming out. I'd have to go too deep on too high of a point, so I'm not going to leave that the way it is. What's this one? Oh, clay, okay. Let's try fill. Okay, because I don't mind a little crack there or something, but that's not going to be where the river is, so there we go. That was kind of a cool tool. Haven't used that one before. I'm learning. Oh, so they have the grab tool and stuff. Those will probably help me on some of the stuff that I was doing around those edges, but hey, I'm new to this, so I'm learning as I go. First thing I want to do is I'm going to get in a little bit closer here, and well, before I even do that, this whole section here, I want it to all be a little lower so that when I turn on my water level, I don't need so much of this to be so high up. So let's change our radius a little bit bigger, and I'm going to also change the strength. I don't want it to jump too big at once. Okay, so then I'm going to lower this section in here a little bit. And I'm kind of getting it. Doesn't need to be too high with the water level. And let's see how that did. Okay, we're getting there. That's a little better. This section in here. See, I like the contours of having, not flattened in here. So let's bring that down a little bit there. And how'd I do? Okay, that's getting a little bit closer. I just want certain areas a little closer to the water level. So, something like that. Let's see how that looks. Okay. And this whole purpose is I've got a couple areas here where I like the contours of what I'm doing, but I don't want it to be too high that we can't walk up it. That's kind of the idea. So I want to make sure when I make this a big island that we can still walk up the whole thing. Lower that just a touch there. And how'd I do? Notice this little area is not, that's a flat area because of what I did earlier, not water level. There we go. Now we got the water kind of going through there a little bit. Okay, so with that, what I want to do is I want to take an area through here and just make the water go through that section so that we end up with, see, it's already started in this area. So I'm going to shrink that down, and I'm going to take this area in here. Take this down in here. I'm not doing it too much at any one time. I just kind of want to mark it through here. Don't want it to be the center of town, but I want it to be going through this area. Okay, we're getting close. And it's going to go all the way through there. I don't want to do it too abrupt or too quick, because then I end up with messing up some of the edges on what I'm doing. And right now I'm just trying to work a river through here. We're getting close. See how it's kind of taking shape? Okay, I just need this section to get lower. It doesn't have to be real deep either. This is just one of those areas where I'm going to make it kind of come through here and spit out somewhere over here. Let's see how'd that look. Okay, almost. Got just a little bit more to do right there. And I still want all these contours around here because I don't want it to be too I don't want it to be too messed up. Okay, let's check that. Okay, so we got a little bit of a river going through there. Now I want to raise some areas here so that this is something where I can put a building or something on the end here, and it's worth coming over to. So it needs to be big enough that I can put something over here, but small enough that it doesn't take up everything. Let's see. Okay, getting a little bit better. Get this area right here up a little higher. Now you can see how I'm really starting to contour what I want the island to look like. Taking the shape into it, bringing up some different areas. And okay, doing a little bit better there. Let's get this down. I gotta be careful. I don't want to tweak my ground, my water level. And I think if I leave them both there, then they're both active to mold. So I'm just tweaking that down a little ways. Okay, that's not too bad. How funny. It's got a weird shape. But see, that's all part of the random shape, and everything else is giving it a little bit of extra stuff. What I'm thinking is that I would build a marina out over here and put like a little tiny yacht club over here with a few boats and with a little bit of a dock area over here and stuff. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And then in the town, I can have a couple stores, and I don't know. I'm going to show off and do a handful of different things in here, and I'll create some stuff around over here. Just haven't fully decided. I just want to make sure I give myself enough flat areas that I can work off of. Give it a nice contour for a hill. I like all the extra areas. I need to create some walking paths, so we're going to be doing quite a bit of molding here to give it enough areas where we can work with it. I want to be able to do a bridge across here, so I'm going to have to at some point check and make sure that there's at least an area that can go straight across. So we can zoom in on that a little bit. And I'm going to grab it this way. And see, like, I need to be able to go across the river with some type of bridge. So from here, I'm going to go up a little bit on some of this. Make sure that we have that up here a little bit. Maybe I'm going to bring some more of this up here. Don't want to sell myself short on the amount of space I'm going to need to build something. The other part is I can flatten this a little bit here so that I end up with an area to build on. Doesn't mean I couldn't put a house on stilts or a big foundation that kind of absorbs some of the of the ground area, so I'm not worried about completely having a flat area to work with. As long as it's close, I can do something with it. The other part, though, is I want to make sure it's not too crazy. See how it has a path going kind of through there? Let me take this down a little bit right here. Just want enough of a building area that I can make something there. It's also a little high on this side, so let me do that. Hold down Control, bring this down just a touch over here. I want to make sure I'm not tweaking that either. If I start tweaking that ground, I have to delete it and create a new one so that we have some type of reference for where our water is going to be. Okay, I don't mind some rock formations here. If you walk next to where I put my little yacht club, that's going to be fine. I just want to make sure this area right here isn't going to get in the way of me putting a really cool bridge through here. So let's see, how does that look? Much closer now. Got a couple little bumps right here. Okay. And let's see, how'd I do? That's fine, because I can always create a foundation for the place over here. Bring this up just a touch so that it has a little bit there. And where's my water level? It is not bad. So if I put an entry onto a dock here, and then I can extend a dock out in this area, that would look pretty cool. So that's kind of where I'm heading with that piece. Make a bridge, some type of cool walking bridge going across over here to get to the yacht club. That's a pretty wide river, considering. Let me turn that off for a second. There's a couple spots here that are kind of sticking up a little extreme. Just knock those down a touch to make sure we're not gonna run into any issues with them here. Okay, there we go. A little bit of a river through there. Not a river that you would take a boat through, but at the same time, nice little river. These little pieces here, I think I kind of want to disconnect those. So let's zoom in, move it down here. Let's look at that water level, where it's at. Oops, I'm not low enough yet. It is this part here. I kind of want to disconnect this. I don't want the land to completely touch this rock out here. Kind of like what we did on that one. It makes it look a little better. So turn off my water, and it's this section right here I want to kind of tweak and give it a little bit of a rigidity area. Okay, and when I turn the water back on, see it's disconnected now. Also, this one can be a little more. Okay, there we go. This part here, I'm okay with it touching just because it's different than this. I just didn't want them all look the same. That little rock right there, I don't know if I want that there or not. This one's okay. Let's see what that does. Yeah, that's not bad. Little rocky area there. I think there's a point here that should be down or something. Let me see what that looks like from another angle. Actually, that's okay. Looks pretty realistic to me so far. Kind of like the direction it's heading. Anybody else, any comments? Yeah, okay, so we're getting there. I'm thinking build the yacht club. It'll extend out in this section with some type of dock system that takes us out over here. That'll take care of that area. And then this looks pretty good for the mouth of the river. The separation between the two. That looks pretty good. Okay, so then I have a little bit of a flat area to build on for making a yacht club here. And then what I want is... Okay, how's it look on this side? I want to make sure I give myself enough areas to build in. I don't want to have this getting in the way. I can always add, hey, how's it going? I'm building an island. So, okay, yeah, in fact, if I go to layout, this is kind of where I'm heading. This is the direction of it. I have a hill in the background. I have, this is just showing where the water is going to be. That's not actually my water. I'm going to be using the water in my scene. Also, I have an extended ground that shows how low it's going to be underneath there to where the original thing is, just so we know exactly what part's the extended ground and what part's the island. Yeah, working with those areas. And right now I'm sculpting, coming up with making sure that I have enough areas that I can build on. There's some areas like here where I'm going to put like a yacht club and have it going down into some boats, and a docking system over here is kind of what I'm thinking. And then a bridge going back to the other part of the island. And then over here, I want to give myself enough places that I can build on. So I want to make sure that I get enough areas here that are flattened out where I don't care if it's up the street, down, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, we're going to play around with stuff like the paintball game in here. I don't know. We're going to do all kinds of stuff with it, but we're going to have some fun. So, but first part is I kind of want to make sure that we have some type of area that I can build off of and see. I'll look at where the water level is. Water level's around there. Okay, so this can come up a little higher. I'm giving myself a little town, basically. I want to make sure we can have enough areas to build some buildings, and it doesn't have to be perfectly level, obviously, because I want to be able to, we can always build a little higher on some areas and some lower areas, whatever, but I'm kind of making sure that we do have some flattened out areas that we can work with. Even if we put a building on stilts, or if we put a building on a big foundation that has a big square part on the bottom before it begins, that should be okay. I kind of want... taking on some pretty good areas. A lot of these areas that became flat like this are actually going to be some grassy areas by the time I'm done. So that'll be kind of cool. There's going to be some rock areas on these edges. That's all fine too. Just make sure I've got some walk areas and ways through different things. You know, I want to, it needs to be able to walk around some of these hills, hide behind them, whatever we want to do. Not everything's going to be all rigidy. It's starting to really take some shape. Let me see. If I smooth out a few of these areas, then it ends up becoming a area where I can build in a little bit easier. Yeah, I don't want to undo that. Let's go back a step here. I like some of the bumps too, so I don't want to take out too much and lose some of the characteristics of what I'm doing. So like here, I can smooth this out a little bit like that. Smoothing out also gives you some beach areas, so it can go gradually into the water. Right now, the water's all the way down there. Let's see, where would the beach be? I think I can make a beach down over here where it shows out this direction. That kind of looks okay, because I like the rigid rocks in this area. Let's see, how's it look? Actually, that would be more... If I have buildings over here or something, then down this way, maybe this would be a beach area. So let's take this section, turn off that one for a minute, and kind of smooth out It can have a little bit of rocks getting to it, but I want it to have a little bit of a path where it's going to get down to it. And then once we're here, a little bit of a beach area. See how that looks with the water. Yeah, that'll be a little beach area. And I can make that all sand by the time I'm done. Okay, let's go back to this tool. I'm going to change the radius of that a little bit smaller. Going to get a little more detailed here. I need to stretch a few of these things up. See how it looks with the water. I think it looks better if there's more island over here, a rocky area. So just kind of bringing that up a little bit. Works like a jetty. It'll look like a jetty's coming out on this area, and we get a little protected beach right in this section. So bring that up. Textures and stuff will really bring out the way this looks, and we'll do some UV painting and different things like that. So it's getting there. It's getting there. Okay, and I'm planning on this island to actually be pretty big. So by the time I'm done, this is gonna be pretty good size island, pretty good size hill. You know, so it's gonna have a little bit of that to it. Let's see what we can do with this hill. Bring the radius down real small, and I just want to that's not doing much of anything. Try and give a little bit of a point over here instead of all flat and one-sided. The other thing is it'd probably be good if I had some type of path or something that you could make it through here. It's not so obvious, but you could run around this, because if, like you said, if you're doing paintball, then you know you're going to need to be able to, hey, hide back here and not get stuck one direction. You need to be able to come back up the other side. So if I kind of tweak this, let's go a little bit larger and also strengthen it a little bit of what it's going to do. And if I bring this up around here a little bit, let's see where the water level is. Oh, it's way down there. It's not even close. Oh, what am I thinking? Okay, so the water level's here. Trying to think of what I want to do. Let's see. Bring this up just a touch so that it becomes part of land here. Then shorten this distance a little bit here, so that it's not too high, but trying to make it where we actually have a way to get back up on there. If you walk down this way, then you can get back up on the hill. Let's see how we're looking when we're closer to it. There's a lot of peaks you're never going to walk down it anyway. It'd be kind of very hard to handle. Let's see if I flatten just a touch through here. Kind of creates a little bit of a path. I don't want to cut off. I don't want to connect it to the beach per se. So I don't want to go completely to the beach, but I do want to make it a little bit contours here where you can get around there a little bit. There'll be some rocks and islands and stuff there. Let's see. Maybe we'll have little hut back here or something to hide in. I don't know. I'll think about that as we get to it. Okay, so we have a little bit of a beach area there. We could make another little beach area someplace. I don't know. No, I don't necessarily want another beach. These smoother areas are going to be more sand and paths and stuff like that. So I'm kind of making it where there's a little bit of it going in so we can do something with it, but I don't want to make it too flat. And the real test of everything is going to be this. Let me turn that off. Let's go back to, let's save it. Go back to modeling. Okay, we don't go back to that one. Here. File save. The other thing we're going to do with this, I can kind of see the contours of the mountain. Okay. One of the things on this object is we have some properties for this, and just double checking. Okay, instances now, collections now. This section we need to cast shadows and receive shadows. We need to check collisions, otherwise you're going to walk right through it in our scene. And then that should do it. File save. And I know it's going to be a big white blob at this point in time, but I still want to I'm going to see what we're dealing with, because of course if there's little tweaks I need to do based on what I'm going to have in our stuff, then I want to make sure we get that in, get an idea. But until you actually put it next to the guy, you walk around in it a little bit, you really can't tell what you're doing. So I'm going to export as a Babylon file. I'm just going to call this island. Let's give it a name. Well, I'm not going to name it Paintball Island because I'm probably going to use it for more than one thing. We can reuse these islands, you know, any island that I create. Anybody got a name for me? What should we call this island? No, it's not Gilligan's. No. I don't know. Names. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not great at names. Okay, I'm going to be very, very straightforward. We'll call it Rock Island for now, just so that we have some type of name on it. It'll get, we could even rename it later. It's not that big a deal. But for now, we're going to call it Rock Island. I didn't even put a texture on here yet. That's going to be another day. We'll play around with the textures. I just want to see what we're actually building and what it's going to look like in our scene. So I'm going to start by saying add new community. Create a blank, nothing with a road in it. That's it. It's going to be a blank, empty community. And it takes a second to get all the action zones in place. And we're almost there. Bum. And open your new community in the editor. And there's my one single road. It really, like I said, it's meant to be a blank, you know, if I gave you a blank canvas, you wouldn't even know you're in a community. The only reason I put the road in there is so you can kind of see where 000 is. It's the center of that road. But that's really not even needed. So I'm going to delete that floor. I don't need it. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a building block. Actually, that's not the one I need. I need to edit landscape and scene, and I'm going to add ground terrain. It tries to add some default ground terrain, which I'm not going to use. So the first thing I'm going to do is come down here and change, that's the texture. I don't need that at this point in time. Actually, I'm not going to use this tool. Sorry, I forgot. I can create a terrain. I can use my thing as a height map and drop it in here and do all kinds of stuff with it. But that's not the direction I want to go. I forgot. We're bringing this in from Babylon, so I'm going to edit the community, add a web object, and I'm going to add our Babylon file, select our object, and upload a primary file. Bum, bum, bum. And let's see, where do I have there's my Blender folder. I put it in one called Terrain 1 or something like that. Terrain 1 and Rock Island Babylon, open that. And it's uploading the file. Oh, it gave me an error. Ah, that's some new code I just changed to, figures. Okay, so what did I mess up? Added an editor, 5730. I might as well jump and fix the code, or is there something I can do short of that at this moment? No. Okay, so let me just jump in here. And that would be admin editor 5730. I want to find out what's going on with my code. Why did it break? So come into here. 57. 5730, which should be the uploading of files. It's right. This process right here. It grabbed the file, got the name, passed it into there, went to uploaded files, and should have saved my file and left. So if this one had a problem on 5730, that was the response afterwards. Means it errored on the back side of it. So let's, oh, you know, in fact, I may have gotten a reported error. So let's, first of all, reattach the database. Well, that's part of coding. Whenever we got an error, we jump right in and fix the piece that we found. Wherever it has an error, make it all work all the time, everything we can do. This was a piece I upgraded yesterday, so it doesn't surprise me I broke one thing when I upgraded something else. Okay, let's see, we have, oh, it's not the table, where am I going? Oh, I want to check the error log, which is this, let's see, track page view has nothing to do with it, and that's an old date, so that one isn't it. And I'm just looking to see if there's any clues of what the error is before I move on and do something else. In here, do I have a new file? Has all the sessions going. Chrome installer, nope, that ain't it. PHP error log, let's see. And plugin loader, oh, that has nothing to do with it. That was also a different day, different time. That's not the error we just got. Okay. And just to make sure, there's two different servers that run these. That process could have hit either server, and it really doesn't matter which one it hits. Whichever one I'm currently browsing on. Okay, Chrome installer. I guess Chrome did some update then, because I did not do a Chrome installer on these machines. Just checking for an error first, because if it tells me a physical error, then that obviously is where I need to go first. Otherwise, I can troubleshoot this. My last version of the code worked, so if I change something that broke it, I definitely will go through. These are also saying 12:15. I have it by date, so I already know that's not going to be it. If it wasn't in this section up here, it's not on this server. Okay, so we didn't get any clues that way. Next best thing is we're going into the handler files, and that would be this file. I created a couple things different. I told it to bring in this. Oh, that would be my problem. I know what I did. I cannot take these two pieces here and send them to that other handler, because what it's doing is this handler is for a post file, it's not for a file. So get post, what I should do is in the plugin loader, is it? No, handlers, I'm sorry. It's in the handlers file. I know what I broke. This will fix it really quick. Oh, why don't I just do this? Get post, find in files. We'll get the one in the handlers file, the one that's actually running the code right there. And see how that gets post file? Well, we need a second one. And this particular one, when it checks it, is not going to be get post, it's going to be get file. And file, and it should be, I think it's files is the proper term. And that would obviously make a big difference when you're trying to do it. There we go. So now I can come in here, and on just these two, because it's files, I should put files. It's a new function. I might as well make it what it's supposed to be. Because now, instead of post, it's files. Oops, don't make it all caps. Okay, now that I'm getting the files, now I should be able to upload them, and let's see what happens. Refresh my page. Well, that's why I test these things, and that's why I fix things, and that's why I constantly update the things on GitHub, is every time I make enhancements, I fix things as I use it. By using the product and fixing things as I go, makes it better for everybody. Okay, so edit community, and I don't need to edit landscape. I keep doing that. It's not an action. Okay, web objects, sorry. And Babylon file, select files, and here we go, upload primary file. And let's see if I fix the problem. We're going to call this Rock Island. Open and come on. Nope, still has an error. Did it not update, or did it have a problem with that handler? Upload files, items should have been fine. Let's see if it gave me an error this time. That would be nice if it did. Nope, didn't catch an error. That's fine. I think what I did was I broke... Okay, there's an easy way to tell what I did wrong. If I go back to my backups, did I do it in there? No, I didn't. I'll get even easier than that. I'm going to go check GitHub real quick. I'm just looking back at the previous version of this particular file because I know I just broke it. And I think it has to do with the multi-file selection thing on the other one, so I want to make sure that this particular one, I think that name is wrong, and because of that, I'm messing up all kinds of little things. See, the file that brings this over here, that's the name of the file that I did, so I renamed it here by accident, whatever, and screwed that particular piece up. So I'm just going to jump into GitHub, look at the handler files and uploaded files. And just so you can see, that's all I'm doing is looking in here, uploaded files. And that's after I changed it. Let's go history. This one. This file, see, I did all this stuff back then, and it was files. Yeah, see, I got the wrong name. I just need it to be these names right here. So if I jump into here, uploaded files is this one, and this is uploaded file. Let me see if that takes care of it, which it should. Okay, and even faster than setting it into this scene. Let's see if we can do it through the media library. Same thing, it's the exact same code right here. So if it gave me the new code and the new version of it, then Rock Island Babylon, boom, and did I fix it? Is it grabbing the right object now? Yes, it did. There it is. Okay, so we fixed that code, and I'll push out that update because I know that was a mistake. Also, I now have it where you can do multi-file uploads. Watch this. Grab 2 files, click upload, and whoa, why'd it go back to there? Okay, I have a little tweak to do on that one. Don't know why it jumped over to there because it should have just uploaded right to this spot. Okay. Upload a file. Let's find out why it jumped back to here. I know when this says that upload or replace files, this should have automatically caught it and used the other function path. I still have something wrong in there then, because that should have uploaded the file to right here. Is it going to do it? I'm just curious, am I uploading anything here? No, it didn't. Okay, so it didn't upload it there, it didn't upload it there. Okay, that's another piece I'll fix, but I'm not going to fix it right this very second. What I want to do, all I have to do with that one is I got to follow, because whatever this says up here is supposed to tell it which path to go to. And unless it spit out some, maybe it told me I've got a path wrong or something. Let's find out. Did it error on anything like that? No, it didn't tell me. Okay. If it didn't tell me that way, I have a feeling this is using this process. The other one was using this process. So if this one still has an error, it should have grabbed those files, and then this should have gone into upload files or upload object files. Should have used this, and then that should have done the process. Not positive why that didn't work, unless I updated something on this function. Upload files. Oh no, see, that's files upload. That's different. Files upload. Okay, let's go back over here. This is not upload files, it's files upload. Not sure why I switched names in 2 different places, but once you get it wrong, it's never going to work, right? It's always good to fix the code, and then I'll publish these out to GitHub as soon as I'm done here. They were changes I made since I released the other updates, so the other update was tested and worked. These are subtle updates I did yesterday, and they're part of another build that I'm doing. So, okay, so if I click here, and we should be able to pick both files at the same time, upload, and I don't know why that one's jumping back to there. I'm going to have to check that link, but I think if I do this one, maybe that'll stay on this page. So there's something weird about clicking this button versus this one. I think I renamed the function name, and it still didn't do it. Okay, that's something I'm going to look into because I don't know why it didn't find any files. It didn't upload that. But in the meantime, I don't want to waste your time with tracking that down. I'll troubleshoot it in just a little bit. Right now, it's more important that I can and I'm cheating right now. This is what I'm doing, just so you know. Basically going to go directly to my Blender files and just put them up there for now. I'll fix that in my copy. If you download from GitHub, it's already fixed in the previous version. I'll fix this today, and I'll get it out there with the update, so you won't have to worry about it. But in the meantime, T for train, that's where it is. Train files, and I'm just going to dump those up there for now. And now we have our files in place, and if I go to my 3D community, edit community, and this is what I wanted to do. Here, set Babylon file, select object, and pick this Rock Island. There it is, and notice how tiny it is. So the first thing I'm going to do is, okay, I'm going to start with 10 by 10 just so I can get an idea of what it's starting to shape like. And don't worry about the size of everything just yet. That's going to happen. Also, the height of everything. Okay, so first of all, it's not going to be 10 by 10 by 10 when I'm done. Don't worry. This island, I'm just going to back up just so that I'm not underneath the island. But let's see, what if I made it 100 by 100 by 100? I know, I'm going to end up underneath the island here in a second. I'm just going to walk off the island here so it gets me up higher. I have to be quite a ways out of place here for this to work. Otherwise, I'm going to end up underneath the island anyway. And you can't even see where the island is when you're underneath it. So I want to make sure that I am way back here. And now if I move away from there, there we go. And I'm starting to show some shape. Don't worry about the boxy looking pieces because I'm going to take care of that. I can use subdivisions to do something with it. And I'll take care of that at a later, or in, when I render the final version and stuff. But the other part of this is I'm going to separate from the avatar, pull it back this way so I can kind of take a look around. This would be where my stuff is. Okay, for starters, see, we're starting to take a look at the island. There's my little guy down there. So in proportion to my guy, that's what it would look like in 100. See, he's a little tiny thing down there, and this is the look of the island. So the first thing I'm going to do is shrink it so that we have our river about when we expect it. Also, notice we're going to have our section of beach someplace too. So I kind of want to see where this happens. It looks like, see, those are starting to show some strings through there. I'm okay with that. That's kind of the size that it'll be, if that was the height and everything else. The other piece is I kind of want to take a look at the beach area and see what that looks like. So I'm going to work my way over this section and see over here. Where's my beach? There's my beach. Okay. Looks to be too steep for starters. If I walked up that hill, if I got up that hill, I mean, I'm never going to get up that hill. Let's just say it that way. I think I'm still too big. I want it to be some big island, but compared to my avatar, look at here. If my avatar is this big, let's take a little walk and see how we do. Well, actually, it's not too bad for this side of things. I don't mind this being a little rocky area. I don't even know if I can go up it. We're going to find out if I can even get up it right now. And it's too steep. Okay, so that's too steep to get up. I can make my character climb better anyway, so I'm not so worried about that. But let's go around. I want to see how steep the beach is, because that's going to be one of the areas that it really matters. Before I even do that, this island is pretty big. Let me edit it. Right-clicked it. Now I'm editing it. There's two pieces I need to do. Show advanced options, and I need that to be in the extreme zone for when it loads. Otherwise, the next time I do something, it's not going to work anyway. The other part is I think 100 is too big. Let's see what it looks like with 80 by 80 by 80. That may be a little bit closer, which also means I need to pick it up out of the ground. I'll do a bird's eye view flyover and see how close that looks to everything. Let me disconnect from my avatar. Do bird's eye flyover. This is the area I'm really watching because I know where certain areas on this side I knew they would be underwater or connected or disconnected at certain heights. So that's kind of where I'm gauging what I'm doing. See how my guy's that size? This is a pretty good size island for that guy. Let me see what it looks like if I go a little bit lower. Starting to get more puddles in between things over here. That kind of looks cool. That looks pretty good. So I think I would be going with something around that height. And that's why I was testing it here, is because I really want to know what height and what style is going to look the best. Now notice I went 80 times the size. If I go back to my original and go 80 times the size, then it'll be a 1-to-1 in this scene, and then I'm building actually at full scale. But that does a few things on the other side, because 80 times bigger in the editor, that's pretty extreme. Or I could do something like 20 times the size in the editor, or even 4 times the size, and then make this 20 times in here. Either way, we'll get something in there. Okay, so I'm getting an idea of how big this island is to what size I am. The avatar technically is. Let me go back to where my avatar is by turning that. And I'm just curious, now that we have a little bit lower, I wonder if I can even walk up this edge. I can't even make it up a small step at this point. Well, that's one of the things. I can adjust that in the avatar's movements anyway. So if he can't make it up this stuff, there I am. Now I'm on the island. Okay. And notice also, because it's so boxy, that my shadow really takes on a big... it's really taken on a big bulge. I'll work on some of that, smoothing out the movement. Notice my smooth paths aren't too bad for walking on them. Okay. And so we've got some good areas. We have some areas that have some rough parts to it. We can smooth some of this out a little bit more. But I wanted to see if I come up this way, for example, wherever I've smoothed it out, seems like it goes, I know, these little bouncy things that it's doing when I'm walking uphill. I'll fix those. I know what it is that causes that, and I can fix that. I want it to not collide with it. I want it to actually glide up the hill, and I can change that and move it. So, and here we go, going up the hill. Just getting the feel of it. You know, this is a pretty good idea, size for it. It's not too bad. If I build some buildings in here and things, we shouldn't have any problem with being able to get to them. Down here is kind of my area for the beach. The path to it is very rocky. That's not great. This will need to be all cleaned up, which I can do. And then the beach entrance itself, I think we can extend out the beach, make the sand actually come out at a more shallow range. It'll give us more beach. This path going into it needs to be a lot cleaner. Okay, so we're starting to get an idea of what it looks like from here. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. It's starting to take a little bit of shape, and as you can see, we have a water level that's very similar to what we said. Has little areas here that do that stuff. The other thing I can do, and this would help with the graphics quality and everything, is if I come in here and when I'm editing that object, I can add a modifier, and I can subdivision surface, render twice as much. We can even change the viewport to that. I can even render it 3 times as much. Then it gets really smoothed out and everything. That would be a possibility. Because if I'm subdividing the surface, the only thing is now I'm really looking at a huge amount of... I'm looking at a huge amount of stuff and a huge file. It's saying 107 meg for that. Let me drop my render down. Now, see that's... Yeah, see. Subdividing the surface gives it a little bit. Yeah. If I cancel that, that's what it looks like. And it's 68 meg. Okay, so I can add it once. Subdivision surface, and basically I don't want to make it too big. Render 2, viewport 1, quality, I can raise that. I'm watching the file size. I know a 70 meg file, that's not too bad, but if it starts getting too big, then nobody's going to download it and see it anyway. If it's too big, I don't know how it works in our scene. So right now, what I want to do is I'm going to, first of all, hide my water, file, save, file, export, and that's why I'm playing around with these settings, by the way. Save that. It's exporting. I guess with the subdivision, that definitely adds a lot more to the export. Just out of curiosity, the last size of that file was 5 meg. I just made it a 70 meg file. That's going to take a lot more to load. I'm probably going to have to undo that step. When I get that much detail, that's going to definitely be a... I don't know. Let's see how it loads. For quality, there's always a price. Always a price. We'll play around with those settings because I want to get the overall feel of it first, and then we can start messing around with the look of the item, the way it's painted, everything. So we can also, oh, that's the other part I didn't do. I didn't click smooth, which would have also helped on some of these shapes. So first of all, let me see if I refresh that. Oh, it's 23 meg. That's not as bad as I thought it would be. 23 meg is definitely a decent sized file compared to what it was before, but if it has the quality that we want, maybe worth it. We'll have to play around and check that out. But let's see what happens if first of all, I'm going to back up a few steps, and I want to set this as my starting position because I don't want to start underneath the building, which is probably what would happen otherwise. So take this one, and that's the other thing I kind of suspected might happen. We're not in the extreme zone. See, look, our zones. Oh wait, no, we're in it. It just took a minute to load. Where is it? Oh, I'm actually under it. There it goes. There we go. Okay, so it loaded, and okay, I can still move pretty smooth, so it didn't affect my ability to run and move. Let's see how it is for... It's a lot better with the ground now. I'm not doing that bouncing around on sharp edges, which was part of the moving around before. Looks like we're a lot better off. Notice how the shadow is still pretty grainy. That has to do with the number of pixels on the ground itself. There's some settings I can do with that. But notice how I can run up and downhill. Whoa, where'd I go? Did I fall in? I think I fell inside the mountain. Must have been a gap or something weird there. Come on. Let me back up. Let me back up. It's raising back up because it's detecting the collision. When the collisions happen, Babylon's designed to automatically go straight back up. So, okay, so there's some areas there that I have to fix. But overall, I could build a pretty decent scene up here. This is pretty large. Let's see if I go... Which direction is it? Is it... I think I set it up this way. Whoa, that's giving me a weird bounce. I know, if I get on the edges of some of those hills, it starts to do some weird stuff. Okay, before I go any farther, I'm falling down in a crack here. Let me disconnect from the avatar, and where did I end up? I don't even know where I am. Okay, I don't think I have it to the right height yet. Or am I off the back side of the hill? There's the big hill. That's the smaller hill. We're just getting a ground layout here. Okay, so I was heading in the right direction. Okay, that's not where... I want to see where the river is, because I want to make sure that we're still getting some type of river. I think it filled it in because of the... Yeah, it did. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to rebuild the river in there. When I did the subdivisions, it collapsed the river. There's a lot of pieces here. We're getting better. I can smooth this out by using smooth the shapes. That'll make a lot of this go better, and then we can do some we can accent certain pieces as we want it. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. It's got a lot more work to do, but the size of this one, it took a little longer to load, but it seems like we can still move around fairly decent. Little bit of binding in the scene. I want to try to shrink it a little bit farther if I can. I'll still be playing around with that because we don't even have the terrain on it yet, and so that's going to make an effect on here. If I render only one instead of two, the other pieces, I could try it without this, and see, that dropped it down. Well, that's actually bigger. Okay, so the other part is object, and if I shade smooth, then it kind of picks up a little bit of that. Let me see, when I add the water, this area completely collapsed, which I don't completely understand, but... Oh, I may be higher up in the water. I may be needing to lower it in the scene, but this doesn't look right. There's something going on here, which isn't part of the original. Yeah, we'll get there. There's some cool rock formations that we're going to end up putting some textures on and clean up. And then we're going to... Well, the other part is this. Once I get this set, all I have to do is go into Edit. And here's where Landscape and Scene comes in. Water depth. And as soon as I lower this, now we have the actual water. And I'm going to drop that down to about 14. Save the depth. Some didn't save. I'll go back and check that. But see, now that's what happens when we actually put water in it. We get the water effect. You can see the shadows of the land and where the water kind of gets deeper. You can see the landmass. Shadows off the island. See, I don't have it smooth here. I just set it smooth in the original, so that's going to clean that up a bit. We're getting there. We're getting there. And then we'll do some nice rock stuff on this. I can also set some of these ridges to be real edge creases and stuff. We'll get to those pieces. For now, I'm going to save my river. Okay, so I want to shrink this section even deeper so that I get my river back. So I'm going to go back to sculpting and rotate it around to where my river is and go to a smaller radius. I'm also going to zoom in a little bit because I don't want to get everything with this. I only want to do the river pieces. So if I... Oh, wrong tool. go to this one and start shrinking around here. Oh, I'm bringing it up, sorry. Okay, what I need to turn off, and this is, if I do this, then when I work with it, it's a lot faster. So that'll kind of be the last thing once I get it close to what I really want it to be. Then I'll go ahead and raise that piece at the end. But see, for now, being able to work with the different shapes and sculpt them, I don't want all those extra points in my scene because that kind of makes it hard to work with. But see, I'm making I'm making the ruts in here go a little deeper. And I'm holding down Control and basically repainting my river in here to make this deeper. And let me get it from a different angle. I don't want to lose some of my contours of the ground, so I'm really trying to make sure that I don't tweak the distance of, like my rock formations on the edges. I kind of like the way they are, so I don't want to upset them or ruin them. Kind of give it a little bit more lower down in this area, and of course this stuff is all underwater anyway, so that's not going to be as much of it. This kind of gives us some water erosion look to it. Okay, now the other part was this. Since I did that in so many areas, okay, let me do File, Save. Also, I've done a couple different things here. Let me go back to Layout, and in here we did go with Shade Smooth, so that should do that. I'm going to leave off the modifier now because I'm still doing some big terrain kind of changes. We'll get back to doing that at the end. Modeling, we're good on this section. That helped us with some of those pieces. Now the other part is this. If I change it to edges, I can do some things like this. It should allow me to, just because I know where we're at in here, I want to take just a section like, see, we have our water level here. Okay, starting with this rock out, well, not the rock. This edge over here. If I, first of all, select, with the C, I can select an area of things. And I kind of get this rock formation right here. And if I do Shift E, I can sharpen those ridges in that section. Now remember, these are all, I might not want to do that much per se, because see, what happens is this. When I switch back to this, I don't want to completely make it where now every single square in that area shows up, but I need to have it a little bit more of edges just so that it shows some character to it. The other part is I can go in here and grab some points and raise some edges and things, but I have a feeling that's going to do what I wanted it to. So if I save that and if I export, now remember we shrunk this back down by taking off that modifier to subdivide it, but I did include the part that smoothed it. So notice how fast it went now. If I refresh this, notice it's back to, oh, it's only 1.4 meg. So 1.4 meg opposed to 20 meg, 23 meg, which it was last time. Let's see what the island looks like though. And one of my things didn't save. I'll be going through those different things, testing out all the pieces and updating every one of them. That's my current work. That's one of the things I'm doing right now. Okay, that's that. And that's why I didn't save my water depth. I'll be testing all that stuff and fixing them. That's all part of the way I'm doing this. Let's see, fly over. And after this, I need more coffee. I gotta go get more coffee. So let's see, do we have a river again? Notice, okay, where am I at? I'm heckin' gone from the other side of this map, but it's over here is where I'm looking at. This section, there's my river. So we do have a river now. It does cut in between the hills. Okay, that's not too bad. There's some steep, sharp areas. This section where I told it to became pretty sharp. There's some areas that do still have quite a bit of their sharpness to them. That's fine. With textures, we're going to hide some of that anyway, so we don't need to worry about it too much. That's not too bad. That is not too bad. We'll be playing around some more with this landmass. We'll be setting up some textures on it. We'll do some procedural textures to create grass. We'll do some color mapping. There's all kinds of cool stuff that we're going to get to. But for today, we've created an island. We have some hills, some mountains. We have some really cool areas around it. And, you know, we're going to keep on going. So I want to thank y'all for joining me today. We're going to keep on building on this, and in the long run, this is going to be an island we're working on and building a bunch of buildings on it and houses. We'll turn it into a game. We're going to make some paintball areas where we can play paintball. There's going to be all kinds of cool stuff in here. So that's the idea. That's what we're going to do. So I want to thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching and following, and have a great day.